Today on Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
Then I can record these techniques. I can record everything that I feel would help a woman or a man reach pelvic success and have them do it from the privacy of their own homes.
You don't need to play it safe.
This was spectacular.
I'm going to be really honest, so I hope you don't mind.
Yeah, that's what we want.
And there will be bumps in the road. There will be twists and turns.
You needed moxie on the floor and volume.
It's the results and the connections and the improvement, the impact we have on other people's life. And that's when life becomes exciting.
Who do you turn to personally to get back on the thriving track?
I was really interested in how the world works.
Thanks for the great introduction.
It was really very simple. I just read part of your bio. Be brief, be bright, be gone.
Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that thrive each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond, and today on Thrive Loud, we have a licensed physical therapist and an expert in integrative pelvic floor therapies. She developed her expertise in diagnosing and treating pelvic pain by helping over 14,000 women since 2005 in New York City. She is a pioneer in the space and the author of 5 books on the topic of pelvic floor dysfunction and pain, including the newly released international bestseller, Female Pelvic Alchemy. Her new online school, www.pelvicpainrelief.com, brings all of her expertise to a global audience, incorporating exercises, techniques, and tools to maximize female healing and professional training. A different take on how we thrive each and every day. Thrive Loud listeners, the Isa Herrera. Isa, how are you today?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I'm so looking forward to this.
So I'm really excited to have you on for one unique reason. For those that just listen to the bio, they're going, Lou, why is Isa on the program? What is this about? Why would we want to talk about pelvic floor therapies and what that's all about? However, I know that when you shared your story with me and when you're going to share right now with the listeners, they're not only going to connect, they're going to see what an amazing person you are to the world and as an entrepreneur. So with that, Isa, can you share with us how you moved from this thriving practice that you have to this new thing you're doing today and why that all transpired?
Okay, thank you. That's an awesome question. Thank you for asking that. You know, I had a very lucrative and amazing practice on Madison Avenue for over a decade. And it was doing well. You know, I thought I was living the dream. I thought I had it all. Like I say, okay, this is it. You know, I've accomplished everything that I've wanted to accomplish. And then in 2016, I ended up getting very ill, extremely ill, to the point of death. And I had an epiphany as I was walking to school. I was walking I walk my daughter to school, but I was walking to work that day. And I realized that even though I had it all, I wasn't happy.
What were you not happy about at that point in time with the thriving business and everything you had going on?
You know, healthcare is really changing these days. Anybody who has been to the doctor's office can attest to this, you know, with the reimbursements being low. In those days, you know, it was difficult to run my team. I had a turnover of physical therapists, and I was just like, and just although I was making a ton of money, it was still really difficult. My monthly, bills were over $100,000 a month, and it just wasn't fulfilling me. I felt like I wasn't making an impact. I felt like I was becoming more of concerned about reimbursements and paperwork, and I thought that I was losing my connection to my mission.
So let's just rewind here a little bit, because I do recognize this. The work that you were doing was basically physical therapy and helping women in that area. Talk about the practice that you had just at first so we can understand what that was.
Well, the practice that I have, I used to call it the Pussy Palace, and women would come to me from all over the world. Actually, I had many people fly in to see me and to see my team, to address any issues with their lady parts, like incontinence, pain with intimacy, pain with sitting, sometimes lack of sexual response. A lot of women suffer from pelvic organ prolapse, which is when the organs are not being held up by the pelvic floor muscles. So these are real things that affect millions of women, and it affects their lives. And it's really rewarding when you can help a woman come back to wholeness, and when she finds her groove back and she's feeling, totally connected in her body, right? Like if that chakra, if that area is not working well, I guarantee that the rest of your life is probably not working as well as it should be also. Yeah. Right? Because there's a direct correlation.
It's literally, as you've said, it's the base of your core, and let alone obviously for women, this is definitely, an uncomfortable issue that not only physically, but what you're doing actually is something that most people don't necessarily want to talk about, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, one of the things, that a lot of women would tell me is that they suffered in silence for many years with these conditions. And many women think that it's normal. It's a normal part of aging. It's a normal part of motherhood. It's a normal part of menopause. It's a normal part of athleticism, but it's not. It really isn't. It's common, and 30 million women in the U.S. alone suffer from pelvic floor dysfunction. But just because it's common doesn't make it normal, right? So these women would tell me their deepest secrets. Sometimes they wouldn't even tell their own doctors because they felt ashamed of what was going on, because it's such, it is so private. It's such a private discussion that you're going to have with someone, and you have to be able to trust them completely, right? And sometimes they would come to me, and like 2 or 3 sessions later, I will find out the entire truth, because they didn't even feel comfortable sometimes speaking to me about it, which is interesting, because I always wonder, I say, okay, the truth is going to come out in about 3 sessions, and then we're going to, get down to the work that's needed.
So let's rewind here and then hit the fast forward button at the same time. That won't make a screeching sound. We're too familiar with that one. The Thrive Loud listeners need to know we had some recording issues earlier on. So here's what we got. You had this practice. It's doing well. You got lots of costs. You're dealing with the issues. You often were dealing, I know, with women that were going through many different doctors for all their issues, and you have an epiphany. Can you share what the epiphany was?
The epiphany was that I had, thank you for asking that, that I felt that I was playing too small, that I was getting too comfortable, that I was okay in the bank and things were going really well in my life, and I could have just stayed status quo. Honestly, it would have been just fine. But I wasn't happy. And I knew that I could make a bigger impact. And I know that millions of women, not only in the U.S., but across the world, have these issues. And I'm like, I'm going to go online. And, they say ignorance is bliss. And I'm glad that I was ignorant to the online world, because it's hard to start an online program and online business. It really is.
Hey there! If you're enjoying how Lou is connecting with this guest in this interview, then just imagine how impactful he can be in person. As an international speaker and consultant, Lou Diamond is all about getting organizations to thrive through the power of connecting. To learn more about how you can hire Lou to speak at your company, your conference, or your next event, head on over to loudiamond.net and click the Book Lou button to learn more. He'll truly get everyone to thrive loud. All right, let's get back to the show.
So you close your office, right? Is that I understood? You basically close the practice and then make this transition to move over and open up this online pelvicpainrelief.com online school, which now gives you more access to many more people. And obviously not only that, but you also have the wonders that people can address these issues in their own home too, right? So can you talk about how you're connecting to your patients who are utilizing your online school today?
Okay, awesome. I mean, the one thing that I know and that I want all humans to know is that really, when it comes to healing, we're the ones that actually know what's going on with our bodies, right? That we can't outsource our healthcare that we can't outsource, our physicality, which is the area that I work mostly in. And so one of the things that really hit home was that a lot of women would come to me and they wanted me to do the work on them. And that's never been my philosophy. My philosophy is that I help you to fish in a big pond, right? And I show you what you need to do so that I can make myself indispensable, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when they came to me, this philosophy was very different from all other. And I think this is why I was super successful, because I would teach the women how to fish, meaning I would teach them how to go and do the different techniques on themselves so they were independent of healthcare providers. And so they knew how to care for themselves. And I said, wow, if I can do this and I can show a woman what to do, then I can record these techniques. I can record everything that I feel would help a woman or a man reach pelvic success, and have them do it from the privacy of their own home. So they're not going back and forth, losing, time from work, losing time from family, business, and also spending thousands of dollars on treatments that don't work. And so that was the premise of what I thought. I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just put it all out there. And those who feel that they can actually do the work, well, then those are the ones that are going to be driven to work with me, right? And to work with my school. So what I discovered is that there's a lot of women out there who are on the Dr. Roadshow. That's my thing. And who go from one doctor to another doctor to another doctor. And it's not the doctor's fault. It's that this kind of therapy is not taught in medical school, right? So you go and you seek help, but sometimes the doctor knows very little about how to treat pelvic floor dysfunction. And then you end up in this circus of the Dr. Roadshow, taking maybe medications that you don't need and having surgical procedures that are probably
unnecessary.
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in holistic, integrative, natural therapy first.
Gotcha.
We do that first before we do anything else. And many times the success rate, it's pretty remarkable when you help a woman awaken her inner doctor, right? And then she takes it from there. It's like she's the queen. It's true though,
Queen of her own castle.
Yeah, the queen of her own queendom.
There you go. So this is actually great, because I actually think this is important. And the Thrive Lab listeners were listening going, okay, I get where this is going, but this is actually really smart. You actually created a forum and a place where people can go to deal with these issues, because obviously there are medical professionals that need to deal with very serious issues, but there's this other way that people have been suffering. And I was going to ask you this question. I think you've shared this with me before. How many people suffer from pelvic pain relief specifically in regard around the world?
Oh, wow. In the United States alone, I'll give you those statistics. We have 30 million women. We have 1 out of 3 with pelvic floor dysfunction, also with chronic pelvic pain. We have up to 49% of older women with incontinence. And we also have at least 40% of women with pelvic organ prolapse.
So
it's a big issue. It's a big issue.
And this is a great piece, because what you're doing is you're actually helping women treat themselves, treat their inner doctor, as you say, avoid the Dr. Roadshow, to go around and figure out what's wrong right out of the gate. And maybe some of these things will actually help them. You're right that there will be some issues that obviously need much more medical treatment, but many can be handled by themselves. And that's a great service of helping people and enabling and empowering them to do something. But kudos to you for having this epiphany, Isa.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me ask you this question from a different regard, because I thought it was really funny, because you happen to be one heck of a marketer, and you've obviously created your own successful practice. Can you share with the Thrive Lab community the first time you shared with me what it is that you do?
Okay, what do I do to market my practice?
Or more noticeably, what you said you were was actually what was sticking out in my
introduction?
head.
Oh.
Yes.
I help women have happy vaginas so they can feel whole and loved again.
I love it. The happy vajayjays. I love this. So that's your world. That's your brand. That's your message. Now you're running your own company. Now you've got this new online business, which is much different than the being the therapist, physical therapist that you had been for all these years and having that practice. What has that experience been like for you, having to be in that seat in a totally new form? You mentioned earlier that, there's lots of challenges dealing with stuff online. What's it been like as a leader?
Oh, wow. I can tell you that it's been an eye-opening experience. And it is so much more difficult than running my brick and mortar. Maybe because I did that for a decade and I just knew it was just like an autopilot. When I came to the online world, I thought, I'm going to create an online program. I'm going to go I'm going to make my riches. I'm going to get my form out there, my brand. But that's not it. It really requires that you pay attention to the way that people perceive you and your authenticity, right? Because there's so many things happening right now in the online forum. It's like the Wild Wild West. Mm-hmm. Anybody can do what they want. Anybody can open up a program, but it's like, how do you create a brand online where you can be trusted, liked, and seen as an authority? And I think that was, even though I have been on MTV, NBC, I mean, you name it, I've been on multiple medias. When I went online, I had to work even harder to bring the message across of healing because there's so much distrust. And I think that was my biggest obstacle. Like, how do I create a brand that's trusted?
I like it. So talk to us a little bit about the volume that you're seeing. I know you've done these very large communities and where you actually play. Some of it's on the website, some on Facebook. Can you share with the listeners what it's like to connect with pelvic pain relief?
Oh, it's amazing. I love it. I mean, I have a Facebook show that I call the Pelvic Power Hour, and I do weekly educational sessions where I answer questions and I invite women to join me. And it's really nice when you see them come on and they're expressing themselves and they're telling their stories, right? Because for so long, women have been really quiet. So I try to make a safe space, even though I'm on Facebook Live, believe it or not, to make sure that people can open up, because the more we share, the more other women would know what to expect and what to do for themselves if they're suffering, right? And then I do a lot of different types of master classes where I provide incredible content. And the last master class that I did, 11,000 women signed up for it.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yes. And I'm hoping to surpass that number for my next upcoming master class on February 6th.
That's great. And obviously we'll provide links to that because the show is airing just a little bit before then. So we'll have a chance for those to actually click. We'll do that in the show notes when we get to it.
Oh, wow. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Isa, I want to ask this question because I love asking all the guests on the program this question. When you have an off day on this online business that you've created and amazing, this transition you've made from one to another into two successful worlds in a very unique space. When you have trouble thriving, who or what practice do you seek to help get yourself back on the thriving track?
Oh, I love this question. I do a couple of things because the thing about online business is that there are many ups and downs and there's a lot of uncertainty. So if you're not comfortable with uncertainty, then this is definitely not the business for you. But what I do is I'm big on examining my thoughts, because then your thoughts create your reality and what you think you become, right? So if I'm going off on the spiral and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is not working, then what I do is I immediately stop and say, is this really true? What's going on? Is it really, really true? I turn it around, right? And then I focus on the good aspect. I'm a big believer in gratitude journaling. So when I think things are going bad, I go back and I figure out like 5 things that are working really well. So because it changes the energy. And I do it immediately on the spot, like say, for instance, today, for instance, the Facebook ads didn't go out as they should have, right? And that can throw me into a tizzy. I said, okay, just stop. Don't get pissed. Don't get crazy. Right?
Yep.
And I was just like, okay, how can we fix this situation? What's done is done. What's been has been. So I just want to move forward. I don't want to dwindle on what didn't happen or what went wrong. So I really try to shape it, into something more positive. I do meditation, which I believe is absolutely important. and I like to connect. I like to connect to other individuals who are doing the same thing as me and on the online world, and talk to people. You know what I mean? When I'm feeling out of sorts, I'm going to reach out to someone who I know is going to lift me, right? Because I will do the same for them.
It's very true. By the way, for the Thrive Loud listeners, you'll be able to see by the show art an unbelievable smile that Isa has. And I had the fortune of hanging out with her now twice in the last couple of months. And yeah, everything you see in that smile, she's like that all the time. So on those times that you're stressing and freaking, I bet you're still smiling. But then again, maybe you have another side to you that you just keep from others.
Yeah, well, we all have that side, right? But the thing about the dark side is that you have to put some light on it.
That's right.
Right? Because in the dark when we're in the darkest moments, that's your opportunity to be like, okay, to transmute it, to transcend it, and to be like, okay, I'm going to change this. Because, if you want to move forward, if you want to have a successful business, if you want to make money, you want to feel in your game, you have to acknowledge the dark parts. You have to acknowledge what.
No, absolutely.
Otherwise you're just living in a fantasy world.
Yeah. Isa, this is so cool because I never would have thought in a gazillion years I would be having a topic about this on my show. I was going to ask this question because this is a good this is a challenge, and I guess an understanding of where you want to take the business to. Look, I imagine medical doctors and whatnot will always recommend when someone's having issues to seek out the medical community and go through the roadshow community. I want to ask the question, the challenge and the balance that you have in your role communicating to women that, try these practices, obviously, to help with this specific area versus obviously going to see a doctor, because we recognize there are different levels of this. How do you integrate with that community and get that message across to women so that you can help them where it's needed, but also recognize, when the other space needs to step in, that other level of more seriousness, I guess, to the problem?
I think as women, we intuitively know. Mm-hmm. We know when we need to see a doctor, and we know when we can take care of ourselves. I think what happens many times, and one of the things that I'm big on in my community, is getting women to start believing in themselves, to start believing that they can actually care for their bodies, and that what they need is a good teacher and good guidance to do it. Because I believe that everybody holds the key to their own inner doctor. And I believe women hold the key to their own inner doctor. And all they need is some guidance to get them over the threshold. And sometimes it's all about encouragement too, because, sometimes we don't believe that we can do the work, or sometimes we don't believe that we can do a certain exercise, or we don't trust it and we seek help outside. But I'm a firm believer, as long as you're safe and you've been instructed properly, that you can actually do probably the same things that I can. And I've seen it in thousands of women. Mm-hmm. So having that I can do it mindset is really important. And I tell people right away in my master classes, like, if you feel like you need to work with somebody because you don't feel like you can do it, that's okay. That's okay. But at least give it a try.
Right.
Because when they do, they blossom.
That being said, and I want to ask this question, Isa, in having your business blossom, where do you want to see this business of pelvic pain relief go?
My mission right now is to help 1 million women heal from pelvic floor dysfunction. And I know that's a big mission, but that's my mission. And I always keep my eye on the prize, because it's not about me. It's about a bigger picture. It's about this female empowerment, right? Especially with the Me Too and the Time's Up movement. It's kind of like women need this healing right now more than ever. So for me, it's about this big awakening that's happening with women and helping them through that transition, and then making sure that pelvicpainrelief.com is the go-to place for these issues, that they can trust, that they know that they're in safe hands, and that they know that they're going to reach their goals and not be hurt, and have pelvic success.
I like it. One last question before I get to the admin piece. In your previous work, had you ever worked with men in this regard? Now, I do recognize it's a little different plumbing going on, but I would imagine maybe older men might have similar issues. Are there certain overlaps to some of the exercises you can provide? Obviously not specific ones to a vagina, but are there certain areas of helping people in that area that you've dealt with men?
I'm so happy you asked this question. I think you're the only one who's ever asked this question. You know, in my practice, I have 40% men. And they're young.
Oh, wow.
They weren't old guys. I mean, some men have prostate cancer, and I was dealing with, helping them recover from that. And then the men, they inspired me to write my book, Ending Male Pelvic Pain, because I had no idea how many men were also suffering from these conditions: erectile dysfunction, frequent bathroom trips, pain with sitting, and it's all related to the pelvic floor. And so when they started coming to me, I'm like, what is this? What is going on? I had no idea. So it's very similar plumbing. The pelvic floor is the pelvic floor. There are techniques that are a little bit different. But this is a universal issue. This is a universal health issue. It's not man or woman. It's human. So I feel like if men could talk more about it, it would be a big awakening for everybody. But yes,
I have a feeling you just created a new course. I'm glad I'll take an online course that you're going to direct on that piece, because that actually makes sense, right? I mean, where else can it grow from there? But that's good to know that you can that some of these things might be more specific as another channel.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm gonna take that and pass that by you.
So, Isa, with that, let's give everybody the plugs here. All the places people can find you. We've hinted to the website, obviously, but anything on social media as well. We will put it all in the show notes. Anything that's coming up. I know you have an event coming up very soon. We'll put it in the show notes, but it always sounds better when it comes from you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. For the masterclass that I'm going to be teaching, just go to pelvicpainrelief.com/thrive loud. You're going to get access to that there. And then pelvicpainrelief.com is my main website. I have an Instagram, Isa Herrera, pelvic healer, and the same thing with Facebook.
Got to think, Isa, that's the longest Instagram name of all time.
I know, but somebody had my name already. I'm so upset.
Well, hey, look, Lou Diamond has other issues with it as well. Those were also taken. So yeah, but we got Thrive Loud.
Yeah, Thrive Loud is pretty cool though.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Definitely. All right, Isa, I know you were a little bit fretting about this, but you had a good answer. Can you share with the Thrive Loud listeners your all-time favorite movie?
My all-time favorite movie, believe it or not, is Jerry Maguire.
Okay, I got to know why.
Jerry Maguire, because it's the redemption of the soul, right? Because he starts out like this incredible, like he's lost his way. And then we see his whole path of growth. And at the end, he becomes like this beacon of light, like he finds his truth. And so I absolutely love that movie for that. Because it just shows that there's second chances. I believe in second chances for everyone. And I believe that people can change no matter where you are. So for me, that's the movie that I love. And I watch it every once in a while. I'm going to watch it again now that we talk about it. And I just love it. I love that movie.
I just keep thinking, he too had an epiphany, right? But it's a little bit different than what you've come up with. His was less money, fewer clients, less money.
Yeah,
exactly. That was his big realization. Yours are actually the exact opposite. Your epiphany is to help more people and make more money out of it, which is pretty cool. So look, I guess, but it is true. He did change it and he wanted to connect and do what he loved. And I think that was really important as opposed to maybe the drags of having to deal with the business that he was. So really cool. And basically, I think it's actually the entrepreneurial spirit that he really, at the end of the day, working for that bigger agency, he wanted to succeed on his own and create his own piece of it and connect with those better clients and more select. And I think that is a great spirit in itself and something that you're going to hopefully share with the whole world, which I think is awesome, Isa. This has really been fun.
It's been a great pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I absolutely love it. And I absolutely really enjoyed our conversation today.
Absolutely, Isa. This has been great. And we'll put everything and all the links in the show notes. And to all the Thrive Lab listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep thriving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You know bees and dogs can smell fear? Do you know that my next door neighbor has 3 rabbits? A human head weighs 8 pounds.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Thrive Loud. Or find us on the web at thriveloud.com.